Today I want to make a worst to best about one of my favorite thrash metal bands of the last period of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, and I'm speaking about ATROPHY. Unfortunately, ATROPHY in these days they made only two albums, but they were legendary albums of thrash metal. They started in 1986 by the name Heresy. Afterwards, they changed the name to Atrophy in 1987, and the band continued until 1993. In these years, they made these two legendary thrash metal albums of them, and fortunately, afterwards, because of the grunge and because of the death metal, they disbanded. They came back in 2015 and they continued until 2020 when the COVID started, and then their singer by the name Zimmerman, Brian Zimmerman, left the band, and the band split to two sides. The other guys of the band, they made another band by the name Scars of Atrophy in 2021, and they made a new EP by the name Nations Divide in 2022. But Zimmerman took other members, and he continued with Atrophy, and in 2024 he made the third album of the band by the name Atrophy, by the name of the whole album Asylum. And this is one of the greatest thrash metal comebacks and thrash metal albums of this year. So if I have to make a worst to best, in reality there's not a worst album about them. About the three full-length albums of them, and now I'm not speaking about Scars of Atrophy, I'm speaking about Atrophy. So in my opinion, in the third place will come the new album of them by the name Asylum of 2024, a great thrash metal comeback and great thrash metal album for this year. Great album. In the second place for me will come their last album of them for many years, and I'm speaking about Violent by Nature, their second full-length album of the 1990 came out. Very good album with very great songs also. But in the first place, my favorite Atrophy album of all time, their first debut album of 1988, Socialized Hate. And for me, this guy in this album is one of the greatest thrash albums of all times. Atrophy from Arizona, from United States, they are one of the greatest thrash metal bands of the, let's say, of the third maybe wave of thrash metal, second or third wave of thrash metal from United States, and their comeback is so great. So this is about Atrophy from Israel, from Jerusalem. Stay metal and stay heavy.